Big news reverberating from D.C. is investigating the Jeffrey Epstein case, of course, now issuing subpoenas to several high-profile people. That includes Bill and Hillary Clinton. Some of the other names on the list are former FBI and Justice Department officials like James Comey, Merrick Garland, Bob Mueller, and Bill Barr.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration is asking for more time to provide a federal court with information about its position on unsealing those Epstein files. Officials faced a deadline of today to lay out whether or not they wanted the grand jury transcripts to be made public. NBC News national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter joins us now. So, Tom, let's start with these newly issued subpoenas. How exactly does the House Oversight Committee hope that this will help with this investigation?
Well, short of the people that did the clerical work or did the janitorial services of the Justice Department over the last 3 decades, they've pretty much subpoenaed everybody. And I think the idea here is that we're going to talk to the people that were involved initially in the investigation, people who were the Attorney General at the time that non-prosecution agreement was at least discussed, or the decision not to charge Jeffrey Epstein, which the FBI wanted to do. They had a criminal complaint ready to go on him back in 2007 and conducted an investigation starting in 2006. So these subpoenas today really is kind of a catch-all effort for anybody who might have been involved. Of course, the Clintons are involved because we know Bill Clinton flew on the plane. Ghislaine Maxwell was at the Clintons' daughter's, Chelsea Clinton's, at her wedding. And so I'm sure they've got a lot of questions to ask about that. I'm sure any opportunity to put the Clintons before a Republican-led panel would be something, obviously, that they would be interested in as well. So there is a political component to all of this, but there's also let's just get everybody involved, get them in front of the committee and testify. Whether or not that leads to charges, typically not. If somebody lies, they make a referral, but typically this is probably not going to lead to something that that we see additional charges out of.
Okay.
So almost a dragnet approach that you're describing.
Right.
Now, separately, the Trump administration is hoping to get an extension from this Friday's deadline to lay out its position, Tom. When it comes to the release of the Epstein documents, are we talking about potentially thousands of documents, and where does that stand?
Probably not. I mean, this is going to be an instance where they've already telegraphed in their court filings. Look, the public generally knows the information that's in here. I mean, first off, we knew this was going to be the case. We report on this. We talked about this over the last couple of weeks. If you have an indictment, you know what the grand jury heard because the grand jury had to listen to that to vote on the indictment in the first place. So that's generally instructive of the types of things we would have. But today, in the letter from the U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton here in Manhattan, he said, look, most of the information that's contained in these grand jury transcripts was already made public during the course of the Maxwell trial. Not necessarily the case with the indictment and the grand jury that heard testimony for Jeffrey Epstein, because, of course, we didn't have a trial there. He died by suicide. But there were just 2 days of testimony that the grand jury heard leading up to Epstein's indictment. And as they've already telegraphed in court papers, it was mostly from law enforcement. So summary witnesses, basically an FBI agent would come in and say, here's all the things we found, here's all the documents, here's all the evidence that we uncovered. And so that's something that would have been presented to the grand jury. But again, a lot of that, the general scope and gist of it, has been made public through the Epstein indictment or the follow-on Ghislaine Maxwell trial. So I don't expect, and they pretty much have told us, there's not going to be anything here that's going to be particularly new revelations or something we didn't know about before. You wouldn't elicit testimony for people you weren't going to charge in the first place either. So the idea that there could be unindicted co-conspirators out there or new names is something that just doesn't make sense from a legal standpoint. It's like defying gravity.
So just really quick before you go, the Clintons, they will have to go before this committee or will face fines?
They've been requested to go before it. Of course, there's usually a legal negotiation that goes back and forth. They're going to want to narrow the scope, get a sense of that. And that's something that committees in the past have typically, engaged with. They don't want it to make it totally open-ended. They want to try to narrow that testimony now. That's what we've seen in the past.
And like you said, we'll see how much new information actually comes out of that. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.